My dear friends, this is an endgame from my game against Sergei Galdunts, played in Mainz 2006. You see, the queens have just been exchanged, and the knight on b3 is hanging. So the next move is pretty obvious: knight d2, rook c3, and it might look as if nothing bad for black is happening. He's attacking the pawn on a3. His rook is active at the moment, but it is very useful to look at the long-term advantages white could be having in this position. He has pawns on d5 and e4, which give him some central superiority. The black's pawn on d6 is vulnerable in the long run, and also his pieces on d8 and d7 might be subject to some attack. So I was pretty optimistic. He went rook b7 and knight f8. So you see, black was forced into passivity because otherwise rook b8 would be winning material. So here it is interesting to see what white can play, because it seems that black will be winning the a3 pawn and will get some counterplay, pushing this pawn to a2. But on the other hand, if you notice how little freedom his minor pieces have, then it becomes clear that it will probably be possible to fight against the a pawn without many problems. That's why I went rook a7, rook a3, and knight c4. You see, knight is coming to his ideal position. The pawn on d6 is attacked. Black has at the moment pawn up, but it is of no great significance, because after rook a1, king h2, he doesn't have any normal moves. In fact, d6 is hanging, cannot be protected, and also after d6 is hanging, then f7 will also be hanging, or after knight f5, rook a8, bishop c5, I can try to start decisive attack against the black king. And this pawn on a4 can go to a2, no doubt, but from a2 it will not find any future, because after this the black's rook will be paralyzed and the pawn will be just standing there. Realizing all this, Galdunts decides that it's time to generate some counterplay and plays f5. Aiming to weaken my pawn on d5. Now here, undoubtedly, there were many possibilities. I could have taken knight d6, but I wanted to keep his counterplay in check, so played e takes f5. So the knight on f8 doesn't have any moves anymore. The g6 square is taken, the d7 square is taken. His idea was rook d1. And now it looks almost that black more or less succeeds, because after rook a4, rook d5 is a proper move, and after rook a8, after knight d6, for instance, he gets to play rook d5, and after knight a4, he gets to play rook a5, defending his pawn on a4. And this helps us to find the best move. I play rook a8, and now if he goes bishop e7, for instance, then I go knight b6. You see, the pawn on d5 is protected, the pawn on a4 is attacked, and black cannot do anything to prevent the loss of a pawn, after which his position will probably be not tenable anymore. And black played bishop f6, knight takes d6, rook d5, knight e4. Now you see, in my next move I pick up the pawn on a4, bishop e7, rook a4, and normally you could be saying that black has 4 against 3, black has 3 against 4 on the king side, and because the play will be only on one side alone, it should be possible to defend this position. On the other hand, black's position has many small drawbacks, and this is important to be able to notice such things. First of all, the pawn on e5 is isolated, and it is difficult to do anything about it. The white's knight on e4 is a serious strength. The pawn on f5 is limiting the movement of black's pieces, above all the knight on f8. And white has a plan of just activating g4, g5, king g2, king g3, king g4, and just playing on probably winning the game. So black plays knight d7, rook a7, also using some hanging piece on the 7th rank, and here, in order to get some freedom of movement, black played g6, f takes g6, h g6, but you see here we can already take some stock of what has happened. White has 3 very healthy pawns on the king side, and black has 2 weaknesses, and white is also pawn up. It is important in this case not to rush things. I start with g3, activate my king, and now white just wants to proceed h4, fix the pawn on g6, and then work with ideas like rook a6 and trying to probe the weaknesses. In the long run he must be winning actually. Black tries bishop f8 and rook a6. Now you see that after king f7 black runs into a lot of trouble after knight g5 check, and g6 pawn is hanging, knight e6, king e4 is threatened, so black is in a lot of major trouble. Black goes bishop d6, but this also doesn't make it any easier because the bishop is pinned on d6, and black's pieces are already completely paralyzed. Now I simply go h4, trying to create the passed pawn on the king side, and the black's pieces busy with the defense of the pinned bishop on d6 cannot be of much help there, and black just stands around, and after king g4, rook d4, f3, rook d3, bishop c1. Okay, it's time to finally take care of this bishop. Bishop a3 is threatened, and if black plays king e7, then rook d6, rook d6, bishop a3 wins material decisively. So black still tried knight b8, trying to attack the rook, but after knight c5 check, it turned out that he has no moves that can save material. After, for instance, king f6 or king e7, king f7, there will always be some checks, and then I pick up the rook, and after king d5, rook takes d6, king d6, knight d3 wins a piece. So you see how with an apparent ease white was able to win this position. When we return to the beginning, we should note that it all looked like a normal symmetrical position, and white was able to squeeze his win from the seemingly unimportant advantage of having the superiority in the center and black's pieces being placed a bit clumsily. So you see, even in endgames, such things like coordination of the pieces and space advantage should not be underestimated, like you see from this example, and that sometimes it is possible to ignore the pawns hanging, like for instance on a3, in order not to lose the momentum, and just to go forward with all your pieces and obtain, like in this case, a decisive initiative which brought around the material gains. I hope you found this game instructive. I myself was quite happy with my endgame technique here, and we will soon proceed with some other examples in following lectures.